What I'm going to do is take the next 20 minutes or so and describe what AWS sees within next generation smart products. Now, what is a smart product? A smart product is adding better information acceleration into these products that you're currently making. Think of a vehicle. 20 years ago, a vehicle didn't have a lot of telemetry data streaming off of it into something. Well, that data is incredibly strong when you start thinking about it. The information that it is giving to the manufacturer of that vehicle of how you're driving the car, how it's being maintained, and everything else is important information. The systems that were put in place to do that are the same type of systems that you can start to put into additional products to make those smarter for you as well. What we're seeing is great success in the consumer space, but now we're seeing this starting to move into the industrial market as well. When we look at this, we look at a couple things. In a manufacturer, you have different divisions, you have different departments. Probably never talk to each other. R&D down at the bottom here with research and design capabilities, or engineering and design. Operations, where you actually make that product. And then smart products, which we'll focus on today. We built this flywheel to help understand how that data can start to add value at each of those different points in a company. Think about a smart washer and dryer. What could that do for you? Well, if I understand how you're using that washer and dryer, I could actually get that information back to my engineering design team so they can start to design the next generation better. Or what they're also able to do is use over-the-air software updates. Let me revert back to a car story real quick. I bought a car about 2 years ago, and we loved the car, but there was one issue with it. It didn't have Apple CarPlay in it. Really, that was going to be our deciding factor of buying this car. Well, we were talking to the dealer, and the dealer said, don't worry, we will be putting that into the vehicle in about 3 months with an over-the-air update. Now, think back 5 years ago. If you wanted to get a new feature, like a new radio in your car or Apple CarPlay, what did you have to do? Go to the car store, go to an electronics store in the US, we would go to Best Buy or something like that, bring your car in and buy a whole new radio. They were able to do this over the air for me. Great customer experience. Great for hooking a customer and keeping them to be able to give those new features from that standpoint. New cars are constantly getting new updates, new capabilities, new features sent to them. Again, how do we take that to the other products that are out here? Could I add new features to a robot, to a conveyor belt, to almost anything that's running in your facilities? Well, that's going to make that facility smarter as well for you. So now you have smart products creating smarter products to be able to create better optimization, better capabilities as you start to move forward. We're also seeing the advent nowadays of more people offering X as a service. Most people are used to software as a service where you use it and you pay for it on demand. Now we're starting to see the same concept going more and more into the hardware space as well. But there's challenges here. This is not the easiest thing to build up. With your industrial machines going into production lines, there's information flows that need to be synced up. There's architectures that have to be built to deploy on this and help develop to make it easier for you to snap those in, to add those new features and new capabilities. You need to make this reliable, cost-effective, and intelligent enough to be able to expand as you move forward. You need to make sure it's secure. Security is one of the biggest concerns in our lives. It's what we do at Amazon day one. It's our first thing that we look at and understand. And when we build an architecture to support this, we ensure security is built into it. Looking at these other capabilities, things like building the analytics into there, building the edge information. And if you walk around the booth, you see a lot of examples of what edge is and how we're using capabilities to drive those further and further with our customers. So when we look at these smart products and services, what we think about it is not making those products, but what are the framework, what are the things that we can bring to you to make it easier to implement into your products? Well, when we look at that, we want to be able to do a few things. We want to be able to integrate this end-to-end with our machine data connectivity. So how do we first help you get that data, securitize it, and then transfer it? This data also needs to be shared. There was a trend where a lot of times that data from a smart machine was locked down by the vendor. And it was only available if you paid more or if you had to have a different agreement. What we're seeing now is this data needs to be shareable between the customer, the producer, and potentially across other areas within the supply chain. I've mentioned security a couple times, and it's paramount to have the right architecture, right framework with security involved to be able to help develop it as you move forward. But as with anything, this has to have a business impact. What are the metrics that's important for you, the producer of this product, but also what's important for your customer and why they would move down this path? Those are things that we can help with and many times help our customers understand why they want to move down this path. It's a market analysis capability. Many times what we see with the customers that are moving into the space is their customers are telling them they want to be able to do quicker and faster commissioning into their sites. Starting with a virtual commissioning and then moving into the real commissioning, but being able to speed that up from weeks to days. When we look at this as a journey. Many times our customers start with base connectivity. When I started the industry way back in the early 90s, a lot of machinery did not have an RJ45. First, does everybody remember what an RJ45 is? It's your Ethernet port on your laptop. So I can plug that in to get to my network. Nowadays, every machine has RJ45 or LoRaWAN or Wi-Fi or something else built into it to allow me to get that data off. But it's not just getting that data off, it's ensuring that you're able to format that data so your users can quickly see it, use it, and start to change their business. The second step, now I have that machine in the customer, I want to do the next generation of it or potentially update that for that customer, is really adding those new features. Looking at that machine and the data off of there to do monitoring. Many times when a customer builds this machine for their customer, they're looking at it to be, again, as I mentioned earlier, as a service. They're giving SLAs, service level agreements of uptime. Well, to do that, they typically take that data back, they run reports, they look at predictive maintenance, they look at uptime, and those are now part of that feature stack that they build into it. This helps change the company's perception, but also potentially increases their uptime capabilities. Then the last phase is really what truly is machine as a service. How do we enable that? How do we move away from a capital investment into an operations expense? Trying to drive those capabilities is, again, many times SLA driven, service level agreements to ensure that people are able to get to the information, that somebody is telling you, I'm going to give you a 99% uptime or 80% uptime. We're also seeing some customers working with their customers around predictive quality of the products that they're building as well. Why AWS for this? Well, AWS makes a lot of sense when you look at the architecture, look at what we can bring into this marketplace. Moving from products that we have in the industrial connectivity space, partners that are enabled and built on top of us to be able to drive the information and actually help them enable their customers into this new paradigm in the manufacturing space. We've been building machine monitoring for years. We're one of the leaders in AI and ML, and we have experience in this space that once that data is available, we can very quickly start to launch that next phase of the monitoring capability. And then finally, once we get into that machine application, we have services that can build the reporting. We have services that can do that connectivity for that customer and ensure that that data is available for the users as they move forward. We also have secure ways that we can share that data amongst the different vendors or amongst the different levels of who's using that machinery. So is it the operator? Is it something else from that standpoint? So if we look around the booth, we'll see each one of these segments available for you. We'll see all of the feature sets that we have in here. It could be with our partners building the hardware, and if you look at the front of the booth, we have multiple different hardware from embedded capabilities to full stack routing and switching capabilities with our partners. Integrating the security so we're able to see that data in real time for our users as we move forward. Well, hopefully this gave you a quick insight to where we're moving with our customers in the connected product space. This has been an exciting journey that we've been on for a few years and seeing the success, and we're seeing more and more of this happening with customers coming up and truly trying to transform both their business and their customers' business by moving into this space. Thank you.